Good morning, Baruch haba, Parashat BESHALAH. I'm here with my son Gabriel, who has a tournament in Ottawa in hockey. So he's going to listen to my course. Vayehi BESHALAH paro et ha'am. Vayehi BESHALAH paro et ha'am. We have a problem right here. Before I even continue, we already see a problem. Not me, the commentaries, the Chachamim. They are trying to understand the problem of the word Vayehi. We're talking here that the Hebrews, Bnei Israel, are finally leaving Egypt. Pharaoh defeated, and now we are leaving Egypt, Beyad Chazaka, Ubizra Nitoya. And the first word of the parasha is Vayehi. You know why that's the problem, Gabriel? Because when a parasha starts with Vayehi, it means that there's bad news, that there's bad omen. It's known, it's in the commentaries, Vehaya, it's good, Vehaya im Shamot Yishmeu, like in the Shema. But when it's Vayehi, like Vayehi miketz, Vayehi BESHALAH, there's something not good about it. So now we're trying to understand if the Hebrews have been delivered from Egypt and going towards Ar Sinai, why does it start with Vayehi? So here are the many commentaries that I studied this week, and I will share with you. The Vayehi is said by Paro himself, where Vayehi, woe to me, woe to Egypt, that Israel has left my land. Another answer, it's the Egyptian, the magicians. They're like, Vayehi, woe to us, that you made Egypt pay for your stubbornness. And not only did we lose Egypt, Aveda Mitzrayim, they still left. It's like somebody gives you three choices. You're going to be punished, but you can be safe from punishment if you choose one of the three. One of them, it's a very harsh liquid to drink, very sour, it burns the throat. The other one is eating something very spicy, very hot. And the other option, it's paying a hefty sum. So the guy, he's like, you know what? Let me try the sour drink. I'm sure I could drink it. He starts drinking it. After half the cup, his throat is burning. He can't breathe. He's puking. He's not feeling well. He's like, no. Okay, give me something to eat. I'll eat. It's okay. I'm sure I could finish the plate in 3 seconds. He starts eating the hot, spicy food, and he can't breathe again. He's like sick to his stomach. Then he's like, okay, you know what? Just let me pay the money. You just went through 3 isurim instead of going to 1. So that's what the Egyptian magicians, the magicians of Egypt, were saying to Paro. When Moshe came to you, you should have just let them leave. And look at Egypt. Egypt would have been good. Now, not only did they leave, but look what Egypt became. The other Vayehi is mentioned by the Egyptian people. The Egyptian people, the society knows, whenever there's Hebrews, whenever there's Jews, Jewish people in society, society strives. It grows. There's movement, movers and shakers, shakers and movers. Now that there's no Hebrews, now that the Hebrews that they pray every time for parnasa and refuah and rain, those prayers come to the land where they are. So the Egyptians, knowing that there's no more Hebrews that are going to pray to the Lord, the real Lord, they're not going to be blessed as well. Let's continue even more. Vayehi, Hashem said it. If Bnei Israel were capable to endure more time in Egypt, if they were able to stay longer in Egypt, Hashem would have avoided the other exiles, Ashur and Babel. Woe to Israel that they weren't strong enough to be able to endure more in Egypt so I could spare them from the other exiles. The reason is, and we studied it, is they were at the 49th level of impurity. One more level and Israel would not have been redeemed whatsoever. So Hashem had to do a miracle like we studied in Shemot, had to condense, had to intensify the servitude, the torture, in order to let the Hebrews go. Another one, Vayehi, and I'll finish with it. Vayehi BESHALAH paro et ha'am elonach Elohim derech eretz perishtim. Vayehi, woe to us, the Philistines. The Philistines heard the Nisim beniflaot, Otot umoftim. They heard the miracles that Hashem did for the Hebrews, and the Philistines were shaking. Woe to us that Israel is coming back to take their land. They knew that they were on stolen land. They knew they were on rented time, and Israel was coming to get them. So now we have a better idea. You have more knowledge now to understand why it's Vayehi and not Ve'aya, and why BESHALAH for Israel, but it's bad news for the others. I'll continue. Give me 1 second. I'm back, sorry. So, like I was saying, now we understand that Vayehi was not meant for Israel, but for the other nations and other people. Sorry. Another reason also, Velo nacham Elohim derech eretz perishtim. Hashem had pity over the Hebrews and did not send them to Perishtim. It says in Midrash Rabbah that the tribe of Ephraim departed Egypt 30 years earlier, and when they passed by the Philistines, they got massacred. It's written here, 300,000 from the tribe of Ephraim were slain by the Philistines, and their bones lay in heaps on the road. So God therefore said, Israel sees the bones of the sons of Ephraim strewn in the road, they will return to Egypt. Thus the verse says, Velo nacham Elohim, God did not lead them, which can also be translated Nahamu, Naham, as the God was tried to comfort the Hebrews and not sending them over there because it would have been deadly. Here it's written, Vayakom Moshe et atzmot Yosef. Imo ki yashvea ishbiya ben Yisrael emo pakodifod eroim etchem ve'alitem et atzmotai mizeitechem. Here Moshe is accomplishing his mission, is accomplishing a promise that he would take Yosef's bones, and it's known that he went to the Nile. There's another commentary that says that he asked Serach bat Asher, because Serach bat Asher was alive during that time and she knew where Yosef was buried, and he called Joseph. You know what? Let me get the text exactly. There we go. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, and this is what he said. Joseph, the time has arrived regarding which God swore, I will deliver you, and the oath which you imposed upon the Israelites has reached a time of fulfillment. If you show yourself well and good, otherwise, behold, we are absolved of your oath. Immediately Joseph's coffin floated to the surface of the water. The commentaries here are very interesting. It says, Vaikach Moshe et. We know that the Hamdat Yamim, who is one of the students of the Arizal, noted the extra and et usually signifies there's something in addition hidden in the text. What is that et? Not only did Moshe Rabbeinu take the bones of Joseph, he also took the bones of Bithia, Pharaoh's daughter. As we all know, Akarat Tov. Moshe could not leave Bithia, who raised him, who made him who he was. And again, we learned in depth why Moses was called Moses and not any of his other 10 names, because the education that Bithia gave him was the top. And that's why Moshe, in Vayikach Moshe et, the addition of word et means Bithia. Now we're going to go straight to the sea, where the Hebrews are in front of the sea in water, the Egyptians are in back. All the horses that were saved during the Barad came out, they were going to die. Very simply, Nachshon ben Aminadav was the first one to go into the water, and the water split. The water did not want to open because the water claimed that he was created before Moshe. And he's like, I'm not here to take orders from Moshe. So Hashem himself had to do the favors and open the sea. Before I give the 10 miracles that happened in the sea, in the Red Sea, in the Sea of Reeds, there's a question: why is Az Yashir Moshe written in a cryptic way in the Torah? The Rabbi Yitzchak Karo, explained the blank. Yes, it's called in the Gemara. This refers to Arya al Gabe Lebena, meaning a half brick on top of a full brick. You'll notice when you read the Torah that as Yashir, there's many spaces. And very simply, Rabbi Yitzchak Karo explained that when the Hebrews were praising Hashem, even though it was an amazing prayer, and we still say it as Yashir Moshe, and there's Lemor, meaning that it's going to be for future generations to say, which I will add. The Chida says that if whoever says as Yashir Moshe every day with concentration and kavanah helps him in resolving big problems, in forgiving sins, it's a very, very strong prayer. But the Rabbi Yitzchak Karo says that the reason that there's spaces, it means that even though as Yashir Moshe is the first song in the Torah that is mentioned, out of the 10 songs, as Yashir is the first song, it is not to the level of Hashem. It's still far from what Hashem did for the Hebrews. So it shows you that the space, it's in order for Hashem to fill those spaces and to help us in the prayers, because it's written also that we cannot, the Chachamim say in the Gemara, it says, we cannot praise Hashem from our prayers or invent prayers. It can be dangerous, and again, you cannot reach the level to praise Hashem to the extent that He has to be praised. So you always have to stick to the chinuch, to the books, to the prayers, and so forth. But here we say that even though Bnei Israel thanked Hashem for the miracle, it was still not enough, and that's why there's blanks all over the place during Az Yashir. And we hope that Hashem could fill those blanks and take those praises and bless us with it, and not the opposite, say like, I did more than what you're praising and I'm gonna curse you. On the opposite, we hope that Hashem fills those blank spaces with blessings and more. So the last thing I'm going to talk today, it's the 10 miracles in the Sea of Reeds, Yam Suf. So the first miracle, obviously, it's the crossing of the sea, which split in 12, not in one like in the movie, and it was rounded for each tribe. Each tribe had their flags, and they went inside the water. Second miracle, the the floor of the ocean immediately transformed and became very dry, so for the Hebrews can travel in security, because again, just imagine the water's been there for thousands of years, and just imagine if we take off the water, how soggy it would be. Quicksand, it would be like sticky, we would like sink in the sand. So as soon as the water split, the floor of the sea became dry. Number 3, another thing about the floor of the sea, we know the floor of the sea could be like a mountain. Like the floor of the sea is not straight, it goes, then it goes down 2 kilometers, then up 3 kilometers, and then another kilometer. So what happened is, the third miracle is that the floor flattened. So any change in height, or if it goes down, in French it's called a dénivellation, everything was flattened for the Hebrews, not to be obliged to go up, the downhill up. Again, remember, there were animals and a lot of wealth and kids and women and old people. So Hashem made it easy for them. Number 4, the walls that separated the 12 tribes were transparent. The Hebrews could at least verify and supervise each other to make sure that everybody passed in security. And also the waters formed a dome over their heads. So not only were there 12 entries, they were curved, the walls were transparent, the floor was dry and flat, it was also a dome to protect them. Number 5, de l'eau douce, drinking water, came from the walls, and that made the Hebrews that would be drinking water for the Hebrews, because obviously the water is salted, and so whatever water they wanted, they could drink it. It became l'eau de source, water to drink. Number 6, all the trees and fruits that were growing at the floor of the sea, the Hebrews could easily take the fruits for the animals and feed the animals, and it was no issue. Number 7, the aroma that accompanied the Hebrews in the Sea of Reeds in Yam Suf was the aroma of Gan Eden. Number 8, the passage of 3 million people approximately only lasted a couple of hours. That's a huge miracle. Again, to go to Toronto, it takes us 6-7 hours with 3 kids, and it's the end of the world. So just imagine 3-4 million people passing the sea in just a couple of hours. Number 9, this is the Jews were able to see the divine providence of Hashem. Here it's written, those that were qui avaient été abandonnés dans les champs par leur mère à la naissance, the kids that were abandoned by their moms at birth because of the decrees of Egypt, were reunited in the Sea of Reeds. Ce que vit la servante sur la mer Rouge fut plus grand que ce que vit le prophète Ézéchiel. And indeed, whatever the servant saw in the Sea of Reeds was much bigger, much greater than the chariot, the celestial chariot that Ezekiel saw. And last but not least, 10:8, and look who it is. It's Angel Gabriel that guided the Hebrews in the sea. He exclaimed himself in his 4 directions. He's like, be careful, the Hebrews with the left, you will put the tefillin on your left. Be careful on the right, because you will hold the Torah with your right hand. Careful in front, because that's where you'll be circumcised. And be careful in back, and that refers to the knot in the tefillin of the head that will be above your neck. And that is the miracles that happen in Kriyat Yam Suf. And that's where the final defeat of the Egyptians happened. Paro is saved. He goes to become king of Nineveh. Another thing that I learned very interesting is that the Satan was trying to convince Hashem to bury the Hebrews with the Egyptians. He was trying to convince Hashem the Hebrews weren't as good. They only were saved because of the promise you made to Abraham. So kill them. Hashem had to beat Satan, had to come up with some sort of retort. So what did he do? He just said, you know what, take Yov and take care of him. And that's why Yov went through all the suffering, lost his house, lost his wealth, lost his health, his wives, his 7 kids. So to distract the Satan from again prosecuting against the Hebrews, Hashem sent him, you know what, do what you want with Yov. And obviously afterwards, Hashem came back to Yov and gave him everything back and did not forget Yov for the self-sacrifice that Hashem decided in order for the Hebrews to be able to pass and the Egyptians to be squashed. Another thing that is mentioned, the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is the angels, when they saw the Egyptians being buried, they were singing. They were singing praises to Hashem, and Hashem stopped them. He's like, how could you sing praises when my children are being killed and drowned in the water? So even though they were Egyptians, even though they had the pact with the Sitra Achra and the demons, Hashem treats every human being like their own child. And that's why we should not rejoice in the defeat of our enemy. Shabbat Shalom.